Hello viewers, today's video is about the auto industry, more specifically the phenomenon of the disappearance of economical sedans and hatchbacks that the American automakers have gotten rid of, with Chevrolet being the last brand to have both a sedan in its Malibu and a hatchback in its Spark, both of which are into production very soon. With the Bolt EV, its efficient electric hatchback, it's also getting the axe in the coming years. The current year model will either be its last or next to its last. But why is this? The storyline goes like this. They aren't popular and people aren't buying them, so the car makers have no choice but to end production. At least that's what we are told by most automotive reporting and the PR that's directly coming out of Detroit. Yet, there's one huge problem with all of this, the storyline. It's blatantly false. I'll give you a reason why. Many reasons why. The big three traditional automakers, they've put the majority of their research and development money, all of their marketing might, and a vast majority of their production capacity behind big, bulky, expensive SUVs and pickup trucks. I'm talking about huge ones like the Tahoe Suburban or the Silverado pickup line, or the F-150, 250 series for Ford, for example. But what I suggest is that this is a choice. Let's look at the competition. Companies like Honda, Tesla, they've built their entire brands around the economical and efficient sedan and hatchback concept. Even Toyota still invests in their Camry, and they still get rewarded by selling hundreds of thousands of copies of Camry and Prius models each year. Tesla didn't even exist 20 years ago. Today they've become the most profitable company with a business model built around selling sedans and hatchbacks. Like the Model Y is more of a hatchback, it's not really an SUV. Whether it's a sports sedan, like the original Roadster, or the newer Models 3 and S, the company didn't get rich by selling SUVs and oversized vehicles at all. At all. It did get rich by overpricing them and putting lots of marketing behind it, but that's a lesson for GM, Ford, and Chrysler. They too can create more popular models of efficient sedans and hatches if they want. Where is the evidence for all this? Well, let's look at these graphs for recent car sales. I'm using US figures since it's the largest market, but the numbers are clear everywhere. Remind you, this is the year during 2020 when it's the height of COVID, so the numbers for the whole industry kind of dropped for most models during that year, especially in many locations where you couldn't even visit the dealer because many businesses were shut, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. But yet, despite all this that we've been through as a society, Honda, for example, sold over 260,000 copies of its economical and hugely successful Civic sedan. Next in Honda's lineup is its very successful Accord sedan, selling over 200,000 copies last year. And yes, this is the core of what gives Honda profit. Honda's largest vehicle, its Ridgeline truck, it sold only a mere 41,000 copies last year, a much smaller proportion of Honda's operations. And it's a very profitable company. So no, even traditional automotive makers do not need to rely on huge, oversized, overpriced, and bulky vehicles to make a dollar. They just don't. It's a choice. Moving to Toyota, their Camry lineup sold over 313,000 copies last year, an impressive number by any measure. How many Model 3s did Tesla's engineers, designers, and production workers make for Elon Musk? And yes, I proudly note that they made the vehicle because Mr. Elon Musk has not and will never make a single car himself. He is merely the money man. He's the businessman that tells people what to do with his money. He does not produce anything. He just gets all the credit because we live in capitalism and that's the best we can do. So, anyway, back on point. Tesla pushed over 121,000 copies of its Model 3 out last year, albeit a vastly overpriced value, at an overpriced value, so Tesla is running away with killer profits on that number. Even Kia still produces a highly successful sedan and hatchback series. They sell numerous copies of them. The Forte sedan, which also has a hatch version, has over 115,000 cars, the copies that were sold last year in 2021. Its highest figure in Kia's midsize sedan history after a slump during the COVID year. Really, I consider Forte to be a large sedan, but I have more European values on that than North American America values. So, in summary, here's a fact. If a car company wants to sell efficient sedans and hatchbacks, all they have to do is invest in R&D, be willing to market the vehicle, regularly update them, make them reliable, and have enough in production in mass quantities so that they can sell them to consumers. The fact is that traditional big three American automakers, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, they've become too lazy. They want to get wealthy off of selling high-priced large SUVs and mega pickup trucks. They don't want to invest, and that's where all their money's invested in their production. They don't want to invest into R&D for efficient, well-designed, ultra-reliable sedans and hatchbacks. They don't want to invest into production of them and have them available. And they don't want to market them. So basically, they have a self-fulfilling prophecy. They don't have profitable sedans or hatchbacks because they're not trying. They're not trying to sell them. And that's my point in this video. I hope this changes because North American streets need smaller cars, not bigger ones. Thank you for watching.